let's take a look at this function and determine the intervals where the function is either increasing, decreasing, or remaining constant. To work with a problem like this, think of it as riding a roller coaster. And we're riding the roller coasters, we're always looking left to right as we do this, just like we'd read. And so the intervals where you're increasing, kind of where you're climbing up, if you're thinking roller coaster, is going to happen, well, visually right here along the graph. That's kind of where the track is, or the chain is kind of dragging you up the roller coaster. And so to describe that interval, remember we're looking at x values. So between -4, that's kind of the farthest left I can go while I'm increasing. I'm going to stop increasing right here when x is equal to 0. So anywhere between those values, and notice this is not a coordinate, so I'm not looking at a point, I'm looking at an interval. All that stuff in there where it's red is where my function is increasing. What I want to show is I want to show that I can get really close to -4 and 0, but I can't quite get there. If I was all the way at -4, I wouldn't be increasing, I'd just kind of be bottomed out there at the minimum of this graph. So I use parentheses always for these intervals for where I'm describing increasing or decreasing or constant. Alright, so let's go ahead and switch colors then and talk about where we're decreasing. Well, this would be the exciting part of the roller coaster where you're dropping and falling. So right here is an interval. In that section, I'm dropping down, and so anywhere from 6 to -4, I'll be decreasing. And once again, I don't want to include those values, I just want to get really close to them. So between 6 and -4 on the x-axis, my function is decreasing. And you'll notice, well, there's another section too. Way over here, I'm also decreasing. And so there's two intervals where I'm dropping. Once again, I want to include the x values, or use the x values to do that. So between 3 and 6, I'm also decreasing. Okay, and then finally I want to see where I'm constant, in other words, not increasing or decreasing, just flat. And I can see that on my graph, well, that's this piece right here. So there's where I'm constant, neither increasing or decreasing. And once again, I want to look at the x values to describe that interval. That's going to be between 0 and 3. And once again, I don't want to include those values, so I just want to get really close to them. So I use parentheses.